My little blonde-haired, blue-eyed niece, Molly, at age 8, decides that she wants to take up karate. Now, I'm thinking this is going to last for a couple of months and then she'll be on to the next thing. But nope, she sticks with it for years. And pretty soon, at age 15, we get an invitation to her black belt ceremony. Now, I'll be honest, I'm shocked. I didn't even know this might be a possibility for her. But when we walked into that basement karate studio, I immediately realized nothing about this is what I expected. As we enter, a staff member directs us, the observers, to a single row of metal folding chairs squeezed between the north wall and the mat. I scan the room and wonder immediately, have I entered into some sort of underground fight club? I look around and I finally find Molly. She's kneeling on the edge of the mat alongside a row of middle school boys and grown men with tattoos. I try to connect with her visually to give her a little smile like, hey, I'm here for you, kid. But I can't. She's locked in and loaded, fully focused. This isn't a recital for her. It wasn't like the middle school band nights I was familiar with. She was there to prove something. So I observe, and first, the middle school boys take their turn. They head into the arena, and one by one, they're chopping and kicking at their opponents to earn their yellow, green, red, and brown belts. And one by one, they either win their match or they step to the side in shame. And soon enough, it's Molly's turn. Molly steps into the arena, bows, and then performs some sort of ritual ceremony before she's invited to kneel before a concrete block. The room goes silent as Molly stares at the block, takes a deep breath, raises her arm, and taps the block twice, as if she's doing a sound check. And then with lightning speed, wham! She confidently breaks through the block and it shatters to the ground. And I'm telling you, it was just like a scene from The Karate Kid. And immediately my eyes fill with tears. And my sister-in-law turns to me with disbelief and says, are you crying? Yes, isn't everyone? And so here's the thing. I wasn't crying because she'd broken the block. It was so much more than that. It represented all the hours of practice that she'd gone through, the teasing at school, the people who doubted her, and the times that she doubted herself. And I was so proud of her because in that moment, she had stepped into her power and she had realized who she really was. She'd found herself, she declared that I'm capable of something so much more. Now, and that dojo night was 10 years ago. But I think of it often because I'm a book publisher and coach, and I help business leaders write books that take their business to the next level. 80% of Americans, they say, want to write a book someday. If that's true, then 4 out of 5 of you dream of seeing your words come to life, written on a page, so that you can share it with others. Now, but it's not just starting a book. Starting a book is exciting. It's full of possibility. But the truth is, most people quit. They never make it. That's because they imagine it will be a straightforward path. But in reality, it looks a lot more like this. Well, this is what they imagine. This is what it really looks like. When the excitement wears off and it starts to get hard, doubt creeps in. And suddenly you're wondering, do I have what it takes? Who am I to really write the book? And it's this messy middle where most people get stuck. But the writers and the true authors, they face their fears and they head on and they must make a decision. They come to a point where they have to decide, do I have what it takes? Am I going to go on or am I going to give up? Am I going to press forward towards my goals or give up? And at that moment, it's commitment, not confidence, that carries them through. They get that steely-eyed look in their eye like Molly did the night she broke her block and earned her black belt. And it's that commitment that carries them through the process. And it's what lights me up as their coach. It's why I love what I do, because I love watching the transformation as that the book they write rewrites them. So this messy middle is what I'm passionate about studying. And to learn more about it, I turn to an unexpected source. And that is Hollywood script consultant and expert storyteller Michael Haig. Michael Haig is involved in some of the blockbuster movies that we all love, including The Karate Kid. And he's also a personal friend of mine. And Michael Haig talks about something it's relevant to all of us. It's the hero's two journeys. See, there's the outer journey that we all know that the hero is on. For an author, that's when they plan, write, publish, and promote their book. But there's the inner journey that inspires all of us. It's the inner journey where we face our fears, we overcome our doubts, and we step into the person and the hero story that we're meant to lead. And that inner transformation is where the book you're writing rewrites you. So now, it's not just a nice metaphor to say that. The science actually backs this up. The science is called neuroplasticity, and it's where confidence actually rewires your brain. And this engagement, this challenge, rewires your brain. So in neuroplasticity, every time you push through your fears and your doubts, you're actually rewiring your brain and you're doing neuroplasticity. And it's when you do that that you strengthen your ability to make complex thoughts and tell better stories. And so as we do this, it's like little mini brain reps in the gym for our brain. We're getting stronger with each one. We can dig deeper, we can think bigger thoughts, and we can handle more complex ideas. So that messy middle may not be comfortable, but it's where the real growth happens in our lives. It's where when you're writing a book, that you actually transform into somebody who's capable of more. So at this point, I want to make an important distinction, though, because there's a big difference between writing a book and journaling. So journaling is different. It's where you are processing your own thoughts. It's like having a conversation with yourself. It's introspective. You're processing your thoughts. You're maybe reflecting on your past and making connections. But when you're writing a book, it's outward facing. You're actually serving your audience. You're deciding, what do I know that could help you? And in that process, that's where you're shifting. It's an important shift because now you're facing, encourage outward tackle or outward projects for other people. And you're doing it knowing full well that you might be judged and that it might be uncomfortable. But with your eyes on your reader, you step into that possibility and you become the guide. And guides change lives. Now, to introduce her this and to illustrate a story, I want to tell you about a woman I worked with. Her name is Jill McMahon. So Jill is a professional licensed counselor. She's also an expert in grief and trauma, and she's actually a gun violence survivor. When I met Jill, she had recently sold her private practice, and she was at a crossroads. She was trying to decide, do I take it easy and retire, or do I pursue this deeper calling that I have? So she approached me because a friend introduced us and encouraged her to consider publishing as a way to pursue her vision and her goals. So she came to me and she said, look, I'm confident in what I know, but I'm a great listener. I'm not great at articulating my ideas clearly and quickly. I'm not sure that I could write my own book. So as I do this journey, I think I'm going to want to have somebody else write my book for me. I encouraged Jill to trust the process and to move with me into the planning phase. As we sat there digesting her research and her experience and her ideas, her confidence grew. And soon enough, she began to realize that she had to tell this story. She called me up and she said, there is no one but me that sat through the hours of pain with my clients as they went through their experience. It's my job to tell the story, nobody else's. And so Jill fought through the messy middle. She conquered her fears and she found the words to share the story that she wanted to share. And when her book was finished, she wasn't the same person that she was when she began this process. She was the hero of her own story. She had found the ideas that gave her a greater purpose and helped her step into her calling. Now, and here's what she said. It feels amazing, right? So it's not just the task of leaning into the messy middle and what might feel overwhelming. Sometimes it's letting go of the story you want to tell to discover the story you're meant to tell. And for that, I want to tell you about Lisa Charles, another client of ours. When Lisa came to me, she'd already written 97 pages of a book about her hip surgery and replacement. Now, Lisa told me right away, I'm adamant, this is the book that I want to write. I am not starting over. I smiled and nodded and said, okay, trust the process. But here's what I knew. She was writing that book because it felt safe. But as we moved through it and Lisa began to tell me her story, she had so much more to offer. Lisa had been a prosecutor. She had been a professional opera singer. And she was doing groundbreaking work with Rutgers University on the fitness and the brain and the science of aging. And so as we dug through it, she began to realize that she had a much bigger story. And that hip surgery felt suddenly very small, like one chapter in a much bigger book. She called me up and she said, this book's not about my hip surgery anymore, is it? No, I said, not even close. So we worked through it again together. We processed her ideas and we began on Zoom to connect the pieces of her life, and a theme started to emerge from all the past experiences she had. And suddenly she was completely re-energized, and she found the bigger calling of what she was supposed to write about. And she trashed that old manuscript and started fresh and stepped into her new passion and her purpose. And this beautiful book emerged that now is a movement that's taken her into 3 countries where she's helping other people as a speaker, a coach, and an author. Now, you may not be thinking about writing a book right now, but you may be on the edge of something just as daunting. And so if you are, I want to encourage you to become the hero of your own story. You know, like Jill and like Lisa, it may be that you're facing fears, there's frustrations, and it's scary and you've got doubts. But just because you're doing that doesn't mean that you're not called. Those things, whether you're wanting to launch a business or step in a new phase of life, right? Or write a book, those things, those fears don't mean that you're wrong. It means that you're growing. And you want to step into that. So here's the truth. If it's not scary, you're probably not challenging yourself. You're not pushing yourself hard enough. You want to open the door to new possibilities and step into who you're meant to be. Now, most people think in order to do that, you have to have confidence. But the truth is, you don't need confidence. What you need is commitment. You need to say, I'm doing this no matter what. It's that confidence that gets you to step onto the mat. And it's courage that will keep you there. So think of it like climbing a ladder. Each step takes you higher. Rung by rung, you're taking small acts of courage as you continue to raise step by step closer to your goals. Eventually, you get to the top and you look down and you see just how far you've come. You're not the person you were at the bottom. You've overcome your fears and you've accomplished the goal. That's the beautiful part of it. So now I want to invite you to see something remarkable. Check out this artwork by Michael Murphy. It's perceptual art. At first, it looks like a random collection of dots, disconnected ideas. Think of it like your life. But watch what happens as the camera perspective changes. And we start to see that the dots form a pattern. And soon enough, a clear image emerges. Now, think about your life. Think about all the dots in your life, whether it's the successes that you've had, the failures, the experiences, the ideas, the decisions that you make. They're like those random dots. And when you're writing a book, you start connecting them and you start to see patterns emerge. And pretty soon you step back and you look at it and you realize that your life has been a masterpiece forming all along. And suddenly you discover that you're not the person you were when you began this. All those fears and doubts, that messy middle, have suddenly turned into a vision of something much greater and much bigger for you and your possibilities. So as we start to wrap this up, I wanted you to stop and think about your own life. What's the concrete block before you? What's the challenge that you're facing that's inviting you to come and take a swing? Is it a starting of a business? Is it a new career? Is it overcoming a health challenge? Whatever it is, I want to encourage you to commit to overcoming it. Think about it. I want you to take that step of courage towards the block. Break the block. Face your fears. Take the leap into the unknown and transform into who you're meant to be. Along the way, you won't just accomplish the task, you'll rewrite your future. With that, I want to encourage you. The right book can change everything. What will your story be?